We're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll let others join us as they may. Welcome to the Guilford County Disparity Study public hearing. We are very thankful that you have decided to join us. We know there are lots of other ways that you could spend your evening, but this is an important agenda item. So we're thankful that you've joined us. Before I go much further, I just want to acknowledge that we have Commissioner Frankie Jones with us. And if there are any other commissioners, please, someone let me know, but I did want to stop and acknowledge him. I'm going to go through a few housekeeping things. Oh, let me stop and just say, Commissioner, did you want to greet our participants? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Just to say that I want to thank Griffin and Strong for doing an additional public hearing, community meeting to provide further opportunities to gather feedback. This was certainly in addition to what was previously and originally planned, but really want to thank you for the additional outreach and taking this time to gather the additional feedback, and looking forward to participating in today's session.
Great. Well, thank you for coming. So typically at these public hearings, it's really to hear your experiences, but because some of you are joining us for the first time, I want to do a very quick overview of the study itself. You know, a disparity study is really an objective tool that helps us to figure out whether there have been disparities in the utilization of minority and women-owned firms in our relevant market area, which is part of our analysis. What is that geographic area? We do a combination of statistical and anecdotal evidence collection. We do a deep dive into the county's policies and procedures. And at the end of it, we really hope that we'll be able to make some recommendations that will turn into policy. We do disparity studies because of this infamous case out of Richmond, Virginia from 1989, which was the first time that really the courts equated kind of malevolent discrimination with remedial programs that gave preferential, as they saw it, preferential treatment in remedying past discrimination. So what they were saying is that the 14th Amendment basically says we have to treat everybody the same way. To overcome that, you really have to have some sort of a factual predicate in order to have any race or gender conscious programs. And so they apply something called strict scrutiny. Any of you who are attorneys know that the theory was, strict in theory, fatal in fact. And so a number of attorneys who had watched this case come up through the Supreme Court, including our CEO, Rodney Strong, were prepared to come up with some sort of a way to overcome this strict scrutiny, which was one that you would have a factual predicate. In other words, we've kind of proven the existence of discrimination, and that anything we recommend has to be narrowly tailored to the findings of that study, so it won't be over-inclusive or under-inclusive. We're also required to look first at race-neutral remedies if we see an issue, and then we can move on to race-conscious efforts. We don't have to exhaust. We don't have to say, well, it's just race-neutral. We can, if we feel as if we still need race and gender-conscious elements, we can do that. This is really our study process, which is why it takes so long to do a disparity study. Each one of these is a process all in itself. So we really do, like I said, do a deep dive into your policies and the county's policies and procedures. We do a legal analysis. Majority of the study is data. That's really the heart of a disparity study, which is looking statistically at whether there are disparities. We do that by establishing kind of a geographic marketplace. We also look at where the county's spending its dollars as compared to the ready, willing, and able firms in the marketplace, which is all part of our disparity analysis. So if a certain group, African Americans, for example, are 10% of the available firms, are they getting 10% of the dollars? We also go one step further and look at your marketplace. As you know, there are times in our history where you might look and say, well, there are 0 construction companies and you use 0, therefore no discrimination, no disparity. Well, this goes further and kind of says, why aren't there any? Has there been discrimination in the marketplace that has depressed that availability? So your one portion of this, which is this anecdotal evidence, is a crucial portion of our study. This is the part that you're participating in tonight. What that helps us to do is, once we find whether or not there's a disparity, that's purely numbers on a page. So now we have to say, what do we do to rectify that? And that's really looking at three things. One is the policies and procedures of the county itself. We utilize our experience doing disparity studies all over the country and looking at best practices. But the third thing we look at is you who are in the business community telling us kind of the areas where you think there can be improvement, or even areas where you think they're doing a great job. And then finally, we'll produce a study. So in this hearing tonight, the purpose is for us to hear your candid testimony about your experiences, both positive and negative, doing business or attempting to do business with Guilford County. Anything you say during this hearing will be available for public record, but our final report will not publish the names or any affiliations or of individuals who give testimony. So we are, as I mentioned, we're a law and public policy consulting firm. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia. This is what we do. We do disparity research all over the country. In this particular study, we're looking at the participation on Guilford County procurement of minority and women-owned business, because it's the county's intent to render a diverse and equitable business environment that'll benefit all of its vendors and ensure that public contracting opportunities are equally available. We've been charged at looking at all of these areas. We're looking at all of the spend for the last 5 years that the county has done looking at every purchase to see who ultimately those dollars have wound up in the hands of, whether those are prime contractors or subcontractors. Also assisting us, we have 2 local subcontractors. One is BL Wall Consulting, led by Bridget Wall-Lennon. And then the other is McCants Communications, led by Gary McCants. And we have worked with both of these companies before. It's kind of a good example of what happens when you come into a jurisdiction. You find firms that you can work with and you continue to work with them. And then there are new firms that come in to work with us. So it's been a very good experience for us. So we want to emphasize that the testimony you give tonight, we are not looking for it to be solely negative experiences. We're pleased to report any and all positive feedback on Guilford County's operations with the business community. Additionally, we're not interested, Griffin and Strong is not interested in influencing your expressions. In fact, we would rather have a clear and honest image of your experiences, good and bad. So everything you say will be part of the public record. Some of the testimony, every bit of testimony will be utilized in our study in some way, whether it's to quantify and to say, yeah, we heard this over and over again. Sometimes even if we hear something once, we report it if we think that it's helpful. If you had a business and 5 people walked into your business and had a complaint, you would want to know about that. Even if one person walked into your business and had a complaint or even praise for you, you would want to know about that. So that's really what we utilize these public hearings for. We do a combination of collection. It's not just public hearings. We've had focus groups. This is our 4th public hearing. We have been collecting survey data. We do email comments. We've done one-on-one interviews. So there's been a lot of different ways in which we've collected it. So now, without further ado, I would like to open the floor for volunteers who would like to begin with their testimony. So a couple of just housekeeping things. We would ask that everyone, of course, treat all people who are speaking with courtesy and refrain from interruptions or any harsh language. It would be really great if you would use your raise hand function or this raise hand function to tell me that you want to make a comment, and I will call on you. if you would start by just giving me your name and your company name before you speak, that would be helpful. And once I get through, if there are people on the telephone who can't raise their hand, I'll open the floor for, or anyone who just can't figure out how to raise their hand, I will call on people and give you an opportunity to do that. So would anybody like to begin? You're welcome to raise your hand and then unmute yourself to give us the first bit of testimony. And let me remind you that your testimony is critical for our study. We really do want to know your experiences. It really does help us in terms of how we fashion our recommendations. It doesn't go to whether there's a disparity or not, but it does tell us how we're going to fashion our responses to any disparities that are found. Mr. Wallace, you can be first up. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you for having me. Gary, Mr. McCants, thank you for the reminder because I did forget. But so GP, I own GP Supply Company. We do about $15-20 million. This year we're on a run rate to do about $24 million a year. And we sell pipe, valves, and fittings. So piping systems for mechanical processes like HVAC, and then also we sell plumbing piping systems as well as the fixtures and all that kind of stuff. But constantly in the market, what I tell people is that we're not a pass-through or a broker. Okay, so we're not, we don't buy from a larger distributor, and we don't broker or just allow them to use our name to get participation. I mean, at any given time, I carry about 4 million of inventory. I own my distribution facility. I own the land and everything. I also own a fleet of trucks. So, and I hired 35 people and we're growing. So the county, obviously, I mean, the county is a huge opportunity. I've missed some opportunities because what the hurdles, and this is, and again, I won't point out any names or anything like that because I know this is a very complicated issue. And the hurdle that I have as a distributor is the majority firms will find a minority firm and will structure some kind of deal with a minority firm to say, hey, listen, I mean, I guess you would call it either a pass-through because a true broker would actually go out to different places and broker and get you a good deal. So from my knowledge, there's no real minority brokers on the supply side of this equation. And then, so that leaves you with pass-throughs. So I've lost opportunities when the majority firm finds an MBE firm who may or may not, I don't even know how you do it, but basically they structure a deal and they use that minority firm, they get the participation on the project that way, but nobody is kind of going back and looking and seeing who's really delivering those materials. Is that minority firm, do they have a warehouse? Do they hire more than one person? Because there's no way you're going to run a distribution business with one person. That's literally impossible to do. But the firms get certified and they consider themselves an MBE supplier, but they add no value, to the value to the chain here. They add no value, but they do so much damage because with GPS being a real firm trying to grow, you're taking those opportunities away that I would otherwise get, but then I think that's looking at it from, sort of from my perspective. But the worst that I've heard is another contractor call me up and say, listen, I got kicked. I didn't get an opportunity because they got the participation through the supply side, and this is a subcontractor. So not only do you take an opportunity away from a legitimate supplier like GP Supply Company, which from my understanding, GP Supply Company is the only minority supplier in this region that's real, that you can trace back to a distribution facility and real people. The other hurdle is you have majority firms who figured out another loophole and they just put the business in their wife's name. And then, but the problem is so complicated because if you go to the state says point them out, but you got to be careful because not only do you point your customers out and everybody out, it's a tough position for GP Supply Company has not been pointing people out because it just becomes too hard for us to do that. But the state can't do anything if you don't point that out. But I don't know if the state is staffed to actually go in and do the due diligence to see. I mean, people are kind of thinly staffed, so they can't really do that next level of due diligence. Then the GCs, the project owner just wants their participation. The GC wants their participation. So what I've learned is over the last 20, 30 years, everybody just turns a blind eye to it. Everybody just turns a blind eye to it because the GC gets hurt if they try to explore it. Although, there are some GCs that will go that extra mile and make that phone call and sniff out that it's just a pass through on the other end. But at any rate, it's just a complicated problem that I think the MWBE community, we really need to start to look at this because to support these pass-through entities, you're supporting one person. You're one individual who's making that money. And to be honest with you guys, the economics are such in this side of the business, they're not paying these guys a lot of money. The opportunities, especially this is mostly in the mechanical and the plumbing sector where I see this the most, because I just don't think there are a lot of women and minorities have penetrated that on the distribution side. But if we could allow this to continue, you're never going to see mechanical contractor scale, women and minority mechanical contractor scale, or plumbing contractors, because those mechanical and plumbing guys will never seek out to partner with smaller subcontractors because they don't have to, because what they can do is because they've got this way with their majority supplier to get this participation. So they don't have that incentive to go find a smaller, forget me. I mean, if you listen, my platform is strong. I believe I can be competitive on pricing and everything, but I'm not going to win every deal. And I'm okay with that, right? But I do think that I felt like this was an opportunity because not only do I get hurt by this, but I do think that the reason why you don't see a lot of minority mechanical and plumbing contractors is because they haven't had the benefit of those JVs and that kind of thing, like you see with the minority joint venture partners in that whole space. So if somehow on the county level, because I know there's a lot of opportunities coming here on the county level, if there was a way for us to begin to take a closer look at who these suppliers call themselves on the mechanical and plumbing side, I think we could make a real difference. Maybe it's an opportunity to really try to challenge the mechanical and plumbing guys to find some smaller contractors to partner with, and maybe they can scale through what's going to be happening in the county in the upcoming years. So anyway,
Mr. Wells, let me ask you a question. Is part of your issue with the the hub certification?
Well, actually, it's the whole entire industry, from the state to the project owner, which would be the county in this case, to the GC, to the subcontractor. It's the whole chain, because nobody wants to open up that can of worms, but they're doing a lot of damage by not opening up that can of worms.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your comment. Elma Hairston.
Yes, thank you. And much of what Antonio says, I'm going to ditto, but Elma Hairston, founder and managing director of Dynamic Images International, LLC, where we provide professional development, brand awareness, customer service, and career advancement. And we are an organization that helps corporations expand, enhance, and empower brand perceptions by providing consultations and core skills training in those areas. I will say that I have gotten a contract from Guilford County doing MedWeek, which I was very, very fortunate and felt very fortunate to have that. But I will say there is, if you look at the need for what I do, the latest Forbes magazine has an article about $62 billion is lost in poor customer service. And I think everyone here on this phone has received horrible customer service when they've called different entities. I know I have. There is a market for this, even in state government, state and local government, even to pay your water bill. Many of these entities have not communicated their core values to their employees, so they're not reflecting the core values. And yes, governmental entities receive their salaries from us paying our taxes and our water bill and what have you. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of focus placed on these entities of how much of a need there is to enhance their customer service. And what my company does is go in and take a look at the company culture, take a look at the core values, and we develop a strategy to have that customer service reflected from the inside out. And it's amazing when I have gone in to do workshops that organizations' employees are not aware of what their core values are, what the organization's core values are. And if you don't know the core values, then how are you going to reflect that in your dealing with clients and customers? So I say this, I agree with Antonio. I am competing with a lot of larger companies, and those larger companies are, if you will, have a white female up front, and you have their male counterparts in the background. And I really feel like I want to go on record to saying I know that is happening, and that needs to be looked into to see if these people truly are about what they say they're about, or if they are fronting and they are cutting a lot of us small business folks out, because my organization pretty much is a one-person organization, and I hire out my virtual assistant to do all of the work that I need done, like bookkeeping and back room on my webinars, because all of my webinars are virtual now. So we really aren't being given a fair shake in the major supply chains. As I say, I'm thankful that I did get the contract from Guilford County, and I hope there will be more to come. I think there will be more to come, but this market needs to, this leadership training needs to open up, because we talk a lot about construction, and I know there's a place for construction. There's a lot of that goes on, but we don't put a lot of emphasis on the types of services, you know, leadership and consulting and customer service and career advancement, professional development, all those kinds of things. So that's what I'd like to see more happen for smaller entities, because the larger entities are bidding on these larger jobs and they're getting them over us. And quite frankly, my skill set and what I bring is better. I'm just going to say it. Jerry, I see you smiling. You know me from left to right, but it's better. But bottom line is, because we don't have the size and the magnitude, we many times, the smaller of us get looked over and pushed to the corner.
So are you specifically saying that with regard to small professional services consultants, that the opportunities are not there because the larger companies are snatching those up? Is that what you're saying?
Are snatching those up. Exactly. You're exactly right. And if we don't have that intentional effort, if we don't have that intentional will, you know, I think the opportunity is out there, but it's the will to open up that opportunity for smaller entities, whether you're dealing with a state, local government, or what have that, or even a private company.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Hairston.
Thank
I have a concerned Black American citizen. So If you can state your name and your company, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Dawn Page. Also Concerned Black American Citizens is my advocacy group. But I did have a prior life in the investment business as a Black American owned firm where we had about 40 employees, all with a 401k plan. So literally a small business that we grew from 0 to about 13 million in revenue. But even in that industry, I see what the gentleman is speaking about in terms of the brokerage or these actors that come in and insert themselves in between and basically siphon off fees. They have a whole industry called the fund-to-fund managers in the investment business, where you see, as Black Americans are starting to move into the investment industry, these fund-to-funds started to pop up as a way to fill that quote unquote diversity requirement. And then what you saw is what you see in the construction business. When they actually put that money out, it goes to people that does not look, that don't look like me. I'm a Black American, so I'll speak for myself. And then fast forward to my stint as a developer in Durham and building downtown Durham and seeing how the construction, how we definitely sought to get Black contractors as much as possible. But we went so far as to demand that they had Black subcontractors as well. But I did see how that loophole occurs. And so then fast forward to today. Now I'm an activist, I'm a reparationist, and I have been doing a lot of studying of the diversity studies, particularly the North Carolina diversity study, which led me to realize that these studies are done quite frequently by law and that the results are painfully consistent, year after year, decade after decade. And these conversations, unfortunately, are had over and over and over again. The reasons why we're not getting the business are the same. It's credit, it's bonding, it's all of the things that we have experienced, or my people have experienced since emancipation from slavery, and that is being shut out. So I'm looking at and I do focus on construction only because construction is one of the largest GDP multipliers. It creates the most entrepreneurs. It is the easiest way to get into business for yourself, and obviously very, 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 very lucrative. So not surprising that we've been shut out. So if you look at North Carolina's disparity study, you'll see out of the $683 million that this state spent in procurement, we got, I believe 1%, maybe 0.5%. But if you peel back those numbers, you see that white families got not 10, not 50, not 100% more, but 10 times the amount of construction and construction services business than the Black Americans that these programs were originally set aside for. Not to mention the fact, peeling it back further, if we look at North Carolina's history, we'll find that white women were 40% of the slaveholders, and then juxtapose that against them getting 10.4 times the amount of business. And if we layer in white Latinos and immigrants in general, the number is higher. This is systemic, generational, and contributes directly to the lineage wealth gap. There is no enforcement, no will to enforce these aspirational 10% goals, but that's obviously exactly what we need. Enforcement, we need penalty assessments, and we need there not to be loopholes. I have other ideas, policy initiatives. I won't share them now, but I will say also in closing that I am honored to be a commissioner on the newly appointed One High Point Commission. So I look forward to directly addressing the MWE program and how it bottom casts and discriminates against Black Americans. So thank you. Appreciate the time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Page. Okay, who's up next? Oh, okay. Mr. Pittman?
Yes, I'm a new business owner. I own a trucking business, and I've been recently Hub certified. And what I've noticed is there are not many small business grants for minority. I see a lot of nonprofit grants. So I would like to see more small business grants. Small business grants for new businesses, or maybe a nonprofit business that can help small businesses obtain those grants. That's all I have.
Okay, are you specifically talking about the county, maybe creating some of
Guilford
these small
County.
business counts? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? So very, very important that we get not just spectators at the public hearing, but that we get as many of you to tell us your thoughts on the record as possible. Again, it helps us to formulate some of our recommendations along with what we see in the policies and what we see, from our experiences around the country. But Guilford County better than probably anyone else. So when we see these numbers, whatever they may be, we're still in the process of that. We need you to tell us what that all means. Mr. Danny Brown.
Mute yourself.
Danny Brown, you have your hand up?
Yes, I'm actually out in the field still working. So I'm
Good for
operating
you.
off my
We're
phone.
happy about that.
But my name is Danny Brown, owner of United Maintenance Group, and I recently bought into another company that's an unlimited public water and sewer company, trying to diversify what it is I do, since part of my background here recently has been working in public wastewater treatment plants. But I am currently working doing a joint venture partnership with Salmon Corporation for the new Guilford County Sheriff's project downtown Greensboro. And part of what I'm doing with that project is helping bring minorities to the table that otherwise wouldn't get the opportunity to get pre-qualified and do work on a project of this magnitude. Previously, before this project, I was able to work with Sam. We did a project for the city, which is not what we're talking about now, but it was a similar role doing similar tasks. And like Antonio alluded to earlier, I can say that, in dealing with Salmon and working with them, that they do give you the opportunity to help you grow your business and increase capacity. But the issue that I see on a daily basis, but I've been in business basically about 30 years. What I see is when, like Antonio says, that they allow some type of pass through or some type of entity to be created, and it takes away from what the program is designed to do. If you say you got a project that's roughly $30 million, or let's just say 10 million, you got a $10 million project, and let's say they set the goal at 3% on that project, and you create a pass-through situation, like what Mr. Wallace was talking about, and you create that 3% with one entity that everybody knows, then is not really gonna do what it is they say they're gonna do, then that not only hurts the supplier part, but it also hurts the subcontractor part, because now the subcontractors that might have would have got on that project won't get on that project because you done created something that's gonna get that goal of that 3% and is only gonna touch one particular person in the Black and brown community. And, you know, and like I say, from what I do and working with the county, I did multiple contracts with the county and with the city. But I think the county has to look a little bit closer at the opportunities that are being created and who people are aligning themselves with to see if those companies in fact do what they say they do. My company, we self-perform everything that we do, from putting in wastewater treatment pipes, putting in wastewater treatment pumps, you name it, we do it. And we got our own equipment. And a lot of people look at, and we got credit, and we can do the bonding piece. I'm bonded to the state of North Carolina. I'm bonded to the city of Greensboro. And I tell people all the time, you have to look at those things. And even with what I do, I still have difficulties sometimes getting contracts with the county. And that's why I say I'm glad Mr. Frankie Jones is on the call. He's new to the commissioner's seat, but I know Frankie has a background in law. I think it's particular business or a contractor or something like that. So I'm glad that he's taking the time to sit in and listen to the dialogue from the various contractors that are on, because there's more that can be done. We just have to tailor those opportunities to the right people that's going to help grow our capacity and help grow Black businesses the way they should be grown, is giving them opportunities. Because when you don't have the opportunities, we can't hire people that look like us in our community. And history has shown that Black business owners are the #1 employer of minority people in the communities. So if you want your community to thrive and grow, you got to put Black businesses that have been vetted and have stood the test of time the opportunity to get out and do business on a different level.
So let me just follow up, Mr. Brown. When you say pass through, are you talking about firms that don't do what they say they do, or firms, let's say, that are not really minority owned or woman owned firms? So what kind of pass through are you specifically?
Well, I was referring to the scenario that Mr. Wallace with GPS plumbing supply, the scenario that he gave about a company that was said, quote unquote, that they were a supplier when actuality they weren't. So those type of scenarios.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so I have 2 people with their hands up under concerned Black American citizen. So whichever one.
You definitely don't need a double dose of me. I don't know why.
Well, someone, if you shared your link with somebody, they might pop up as your name.
Oh,
so
okay.
So we do have
Okay.
another.
So that's
well,
me.
I just wanted to, okay.
Dawn,
well,
it's me. Dawn shared it with Courtney Austin Wilson, and this is me, Courtney Austin Wilson, speaking
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Dawn, for sharing the link with me. And my name is Courtney Austin Wilson. I am the vice chair of the One High Point Commission to study the Black community with reparations. And I just wanted to, I'm just coming in on the call and just wanted to share a little bit. I'm a 6th-generation farmer down in Randolph County, but have businesses in Guilford County and properties in Guilford County, and a lifelong resident of Guilford County as well. And just wanted to see where we are with talking about agriculture and our fresh food options in our communities and the lack of, and how can we better organize our Black farmers in order to be able to secure certain contracts within the community, in order to be able to fix the need instead of the food deserts, as we call them, or the food apartheids that have plagued our communities for so long. How can we be a better of assistance in that? And how can we come together to organize Black farmers and just that whole supply chain with Black transportation, Black farmers. I had a meeting with the Black Caucus of Georgia the other day, and they're definitely engaged and involved in supply chain of our Black entrepreneurs and our Black businesses, along with our Black farmers. So just wanted to touch in and see. I did talk to Guilford County. We have discussed the RFP that can come out to fit the needs. I have a company called Glow House Agriculture, which is a vegetable processing facility. We purchase from local farmers, Black farmers within a 250-mile radius. We bring it back to the facility, wash, pack, and process it into a value-added or raw material, and then distribute it out to different agencies, government agencies, non-government agencies, and government procurements. So it is a thing, as one of the other gentlemen were saying about the procurements, and how do we secure those? How do we become more educated about them? And how can we educate our community about things like government contracts? Because a lot of them do not know the A8, the 8A certification, the minority certifications. And these things, when we say minority, it definitely leaves us out as Black Americans. That minority word definitely clouds the judgment of the other end. We don't receive that. I work with the USDA and the NRCS as well on the federal level, and just having the discussions of, we as Blacks we only own less than 2%, 98.9% of our land being aggregated in America is owned by whites. We are less than 0.5% moved from the inception of enslavement. So we've got a lot of work to do, and it's good to hear all of these individuals on the call, but we've got a lot of action to be taken. So I'm definitely grateful to be a part of it today.
Okay, so I want to be able to distill some of your comments into either process suggestions or process comments for the county.
Okay. One would be, the county definitely needs to look at bringing in Black farmers, some type of Black processing of food, aggregating. Somewhere in there, we need those contracts.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have a footprint. It says that the Piedmont Triad area has over 2,400 processing facilities. There are about 240 some minorities, but none of those are Black. So when we say minority, I don't know who those people are, because they're not anyone in our community.
Okay.
And I would like to see the county take action on education. We what is that saying? We perish of a lack of knowledge. We don't know all the things that are open and opportunities to us. So it would be nice to be able to have direct access to those opportunities.
Okay. Great, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. And I lost Miss Page, who had her hand up at one point.
I wanted to give others an opportunity
Oh,
to speak.
okay, great. Okay. Who's next? Don't be shy. Again, I just want to reiterate how important your voice is. Even if someone has said something that you wanted to say, it's important to compound that comment so that we see that we're able to quantify that this came from more than one person. So even if you heard something that you wanted to say too, go ahead and restate it, because that's important in terms of, like I said, in terms of quantifying some of what we hear. So it's not just one person, but there are more people who may feel the same way. Want to know your experiences. And again, go ahead.
I'm sorry, this is Courtney Austin Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Can the county specify the freedmen, like descendants of slaves, instead of minority? Can we change that language, that verbiage? because that is one thing that hinders us from opportunities.
Say that in a different way for me. I'm sorry to ask you to say that differently. In other words, you want to change the term minority to mean Black?
In those situations that pertain to us, yes. I'm sure there are other minorities, Hispanics, Asians, and other groups. However, we need to separate ourselves from that word, because that word has hurt us for white females and others. That word hurts us because we are excluded when it comes to minority. They're going to pick everyone but the Black first. And that's just experiences I've had.
Okay. Okay.
Michelle, this is Elma Harrison again, and I'm going to ditto, since you said you want to see how often a particular point comes up, and I want to ditto what Courtney just said, because that is a fact of life. When something is uniquely Black for Blacks, it should be stated that way, because as Courtney said, the word minority is becoming distorted. People of color is more relative to Latinx. Minority is more specific to white women. And if it is uniquely Black, you should start standing up and saying that it is for Black. Sometimes we have kind of backed away from that to be politically correct, but you see where that's gotten us. We continually have our disparity studies, and we come up with the same result. And God knows we need the disparity studies because you all can quantify. Even if you have to quantify over and over and over, you quantify that these disparities are occurring. But we need to start with the language that we're using, the words that we're using to help to better identify where these opportunities should be. And that is what is meant by the intentional means for making sure that, because see, some people think that some white folks think Black people have arrived. I'm just going to say it, but no, things are almost worse now than they were when I left North Carolina in 1978. And I come back home, and I come back home, schools are segregate everything. And it is, I'm telling you, I don't know if some people agree with me or not, but things are worse when it comes to opportunity for Black people in North Carolina.
And Elma, people don't have to agree with you. The data shows that we haven't moved the needle since Reconstruction, and that was in 1870s. So it's the data that shows that. It's not even, you don't have to have a consensus from the group.
Okay. Some that I have not heard from yet. Not to say I'm always happy to hear from the people who've already spoken, but I want some of the people who we haven't heard from to speak up or speak out. We would love to hear your experiences. And again, if you have not had an experience with the county, we want to know if you've had an experience with the county, we want to know about that. If you've attempted to do business with the county unsuccessfessfully, we want to know about that. And if you haven't even tried, we really want to know why not. If you're in a business and you're a business owner and you have not tried to do business with the county, why haven't you?
Michelle,
Jenkins. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Chanta. Go right ahead. I was going to ask.
Okay,
Michelle.
I'm sorry. Miss Jenkins, this is my first time really coming into a group, listening, learning. Thank you, Danny Brown, for thinking of me, being a friend of mine, to even think of me enough to bring me into this this meeting so that we can move forward as a people. Miss Jenkins, I really don't know what all to say other than my company is Allstate Contractors. I have been in business for over 17 years. with the contracting business. I have not gone GC as of yet, but I am in the process of doing so. But moving forward, I try to, well, first off, I've done business with Guilford County and I believe that I've done a great job from what I've heard. I used to have a janitorial company, and just about everywhere that I cleaned for Guilford County, um, uh, my rapport was great. Moving forward, I'm doing more of a construction now with um, hanging sheetrock, um, pressure washing, and final cleanup, painting, and such things like that, Division 9. But also I do landscaping here and there, periodically if I run across a contract that I'm interested in, because I've done that for within my 17 years for Greensboro Housing Authority. But let me just say I've had a bad experience with the Guilford County schools and how I was, I guess, picked out to be not qualified because of the color of my skin and also my gender of being a Black woman. I qualified, I brought all the equipment, I had the certification backed up. And I thank Danny Brown again for helping me orchestrate that and put it together. They could not deny me because of not having my ducks in a row. Everything was set perfectly, but they did not give me the contract and went to someone else. And the guy that they chose, or whomever, so it was a Caucasian company, a Caucasian guy, and he did not perform to the way that they thought he would perform. And they come back to me and said, we would like to offer you the opportunity to cut, I would say, not grass, but weeds, because I'm not used to that type of yard. My yards are usually immaculate and look like golf course. But they said they basically wanted to let me know I didn't qualify, but they wanted to come back to me to see if I would take it. I did not take it unless I had another contract I wanted them to put into play, because the grass had not been cut for over maybe 8 weeks or so, and it had overgrown, but they were not willing to offer me the amount of money that the grass was not being cared for or done, but they wanted me to go and do the job and start 3 months after the fact. And I would have lost pay and plus had to do double the work.
And is this for the county or for the schools?
Well, actually, it's for the schools.
Okay.
I don't want to call names, but yes, it was for the schools.
Do you have a takeaway from that? If you don't have an experience with the county, is there a takeaway from your experience with the schools that could translate to the county?
Well, I find it to be not an equal playing field, as I was listening to others talk just now. It's not equal. Everything is, and the word minority, like I said, it's not directed to us as African Americans. It's whoever goes to get a qualification to say they are minority so that they can come and take over, and receive those monies or fundings that I thought that were put out to help us to become better businesses or grow and to become better businesses. So like I said, I'm not much of a speaker. I listen a lot, and but this is just something I wanted to share, that I know that these type of things happen. Even working with the city, I don't want to get off course, but working with the city, I had won a contract to paint all the telephone poles downtown. And the person that was over that came back to me, I guess within 2 weeks or whatever, and said that, oh, well, you didn't have a safety hat on, or someone didn't have a safety hat on, and we're going to have to take your contract. Well, it's funny because the guy that normally wins through, he was an Hispanic guy. Well, he didn't win. He works for a Caucasian guy that wins. And none of the guys had on safety vests nor hard hats or anything. So I took a lot of pictures. I didn't say anything, but I just, I noticed that this is something that keeps concurring. I can go on with different, like Guilford County. Let me explain something. There's a company that's a boiler company here in Greensboro, North Carolina. This particular company doesn't have to bid at all. They are called directly and given the job amount, and they're able to come and submit their bid directly to whomever takes it. And no one knows that the job is even out for bid because they don't bid the job.
Okay.
So it's just a lot of of things happening such as this, and I'm just glad to hear that we can finally convey it over and hope that it will get better, and that we can move forward and obtain more jobs than we have been doing in the past.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Jenkins,
Yes.
my name is Quan Williams.
Yes.
I
Hello,
am-
Mr. Williams.
I am Chief Strategist and owner of the Quan Company. We are a benefit services company. And primarily I work in the area of employee benefits,
Mhm.
retirement plans, and I also work with closely held businesses such as the many firms that are on the call today. And I would just like to speak to the issue of infrastructure. I'm from one of your neighboring counties, Durham County. I do business in Greensboro, but my home and primary base is in fact Durham County. And infrastructure wise, because I've been in business for 35, 38 years, I've developed a lot of clients in the corporate sector, the government sector, county executives, state executives. So I have trusted relationships. And I find that one of the primary issues for minority-owned firms is that they have to have access to the radar. So when you look at the infrastructure, you have a purchasing department, you have people making decisions on who they send opportunities to. You have people that have existing relationships that have worked with Guilford County for 15, 20 years, and they favor that organization. So in my business development practice, I try to get quality minority firms on the radar of decision makers. Because if you're not on the radar for the people that do the choosing, then your chances get weaker and weaker. I have been going to the National Institute of Economic Minority Development. Before it was that, it was North Carolina Association Minority Business under Julian Brown for 30 years. And the issue is getting on the radar of these counties, municipalities, private corporations, whereby you know early enough about the opportunity. It's like an example would be, personally, I have evaluated all 3 retirement plans for Durham County. in terms of the quality and efficiency of those plans. But when it was time to make changes in those plans, I was not one of the people contacted because I was contracted as a evaluator of plans. So infrastructure wise, we got to make sure that these counties, the state government, municipalities have people in purchasing that will in fact make sure that the minority business community is on the radar. Because if you're not on the radar, you don't find out about the opportunity early enough for a proper response, or it is a late response that doesn't allow you to do your best work. So long story short, we have some infrastructure challenges within these county departments that make these decisions about people who should be doing business with the county. It's not just the quality of the minority vendors. You have to look at the fact that there is ample diversification of the people that are putting people on the radar and communicating to the minority community in terms of the business owners about the opportunities. That's the infrastructure issue that I wanted to share.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Okay, next. We have quite a few people that we haven't heard from so far, who we would love to hear from. Your experiences, even if you want to unmute and just tell me about your company. What's the name of your name and what the name of your company is? Okay, Brett Parson.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening. My name is Brett Parson. I am a new business owner with Preeminent Trucking LLC. I'm not currently certified with the MBE. I'm still in the process of being reviewed, but I am Hub certified. And just listening amongst a lot of people who have a vast amount of experience past where I have come from, is just, I wouldn't say discouraging, but it's definitely an eye-opening experience, being that, these certifications are, readily available for numerous minority-owned businesses from the women's side as well, that really aren't getting the opportunities that we are applying for, and based off, I believe Mr. Quan Williams had mentioned, it's like we're not on the radar, but we are certifying. So I would just like to see at least more of a effort from the other people's side, as mentioned, from other people who had spoke up on the call to kind of get us on the radar, whether that's, speaking events or any types of networking events that we can be attending to kind of put our companies on the radar, not on just the application side, but on their side as well. So we are contacted as active companies doing good business amongst the minority and women-owned field. So that was just the piece that I had, because that was definitely an eye-opening comments made from business owners who've been in business for years and aren't on the radar for these specific certifications.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parson. As a new business owner, did you find any specific hurdles for you, even in getting your business up and started?
Fortunately, I do have a pretty good social network where I was able to certify, but I would say that it is taking a while on the MBE side to kind of get everything up and running. I haven't really had too many hurdles to go across yet, being that I am a fresh and new business, but it definitely is eye-opening to be amongst these plenty of, I believe, I would assume, reputable businesses who have done good business over the years, and they're not getting certified.
Yeah, okay. So typically in these public hearings, I don't ask questions other than to clarify what you said, but I do have a question for the group this time. As you may be aware, this is our 4th public hearing. We actually have a pretty good turnout tonight, but we have had difficulty getting participation of firms across the board in some of our anecdotal efforts. And so that can be caused by a lot of things, lots of things, reasons why that could be caused, why people are not coming out to the public hearings or focus groups or whatever that we're having. So I'm interested from the group why you think there may have been a lack of participation in some of our previous meetings. I mean, if anybody has an opinion of that.
Looking forward.
I have a thought.
Okay.
Well, it could depend on who's asking. I was invited by someone that I trust. I know he's a very serious business person. And if he said this is something to attend, it's something to attend. And so to the extent that you can have a network of people who understand the purpose, understand the mission, understand the reason to come out, and that network can tap into their network, I think you're going to probably get a better response.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's a very helpful comment, Mr. Tillman.
I think a better answer to that question would come from where this is being advertised. I think it's consistent with just the county or counties in general, or our local governments in general, in their taking the least amount of effort to communicate the resources that are available to citizens, taxpayers. I'm really curious how much money and time it takes to get certified, and what kind of return people are getting on the time and money that they put in. When I look at the disparity studies from the past in Guilford, I would say that it appears to be a losing venture, and I really feel for the young man who's starting off in business, that he's here with, as he said, some experienced business people, and to hear us still talking like this in 2022 is disgusting. And since I had the mic, I just want to double down on what Mrs. Harrison and Commissioner Wilson stated about the word minority and how important it is for us to understand the purpose of that word and how important language is. And we can't have a conversation about how Black Americans aren't getting business and then talk about, use the word minority, which means white women, Asians, Latinos, et cetera, et cetera. So it's difficult to have a conversation from that perspective if we can't be specific and use, the term, whatever you're comfortable with, African American, Black American, emancipated slaves, whatever, but that is the common thread. And I think the disparity studies show that, businesses are out here filling their requirement under the guise of minority or under that mantle. So obviously, if we want to be serious, there's really a legislative fix a delineation and disaggregation of the data and how we're counting and capturing the data has to happen. Otherwise, you know, I don't know how we can stay on target or target us as a collective if we switch back and forth between different euphemisms.
All right, thank you. So we only have about 15 minutes left. So anyone who has not yet given me their experience or their opinions or information about their business, now would be the time to unmute and tell us. Gary, I know you started to say something at some point earlier.
I think I'm okay. I was just acknowledging that.
Okay.
Cynthia Barnes was called as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mr. Boyd, Roger Boyd.
Hi. Roger Boyd with Grace Point Promotional Products. My business sells a lot of specialty advertising and promotional products to different entities. And one of the things I wanted to ask is that the county, can they separate those dollars by being if it's a woman, can they be classified? Are you Black, Hispanic, Latino? How much of the money, so we can find out how much of that money is going to Black-owned businesses, not non-Black-owned businesses?
So the answer to that is the disparity study does disaggregate by ethnicities and gender.
Okay, so the county does report to you how much of that money, where it goes, whether it's a white, female, minority?
Yeah, well, we put it together from the data they provide us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just wanted to re-emphasize that we can go back as far as the studies have been conducted, and they will show us that white women benefit significantly from these programs. And the data will show also that 73% of the time they are married to white men. So all of this money is going right back in to white households. And then if you look at the total numbers, so where 5% might go to quote unquote minorities or MWBE, 95% will go to non-MWB, which means white males. So it definitely breaks that information out. And that's the sad thing, is that, you know, it's been frighteningly consistent. The gap between the business that we get out of these programs versus other groups, that hasn't changed for about 50 years.
Okay, we have 12 more minutes. Want to get a few more voices in here. Again, even if you want to unmute and just say who you are and what your business is, what kind of business you do. Okay, Mr. Boyd?
Yeah, since we have those numbers, then the challenge for the county or any institution or large corporation is to figure out how they're going to direct those purchases to Black-owned businesses. If that's what you find in the disparity study, then the challenge is for them to find out how to direct more of those purchases to Black-owned businesses versus minority-owned businesses.
Hi, Michelle.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Linda Wilson, and I was invited by Mr. Danny Brown, and I appreciate the invitation because I'm really interested in how we can build and expand the support for our Black-owned businesses. So Mr. Brown, thank you for inviting me. Sorry I was late. I had another Zoom. That's our life today. Zoom from
Yeah.
1 hour to the other. So
Great. Well, thank you for joining us. Are you a business owner?
I am not. I actually work for Guilford County Schools.
Oh, okay.
Doing community engagement. So this is perfect for me because I'm making contact with business owners so I can
Good.
approach you as we do what we do to bring businesses into the district, school district.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And Jeremy Nelms.
Good evening to all. I want to say thank you to everyone. I was invited by Mr. Jerry McCants. Mr. McCants, thank you so much for the invite. I'm a business owner here in Guilford County as well. Been in business about 3 years now, and I own a wine and cigar shop in the Triad. Thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce my business.
Thank you. Thank you. What's the name of your business?
Next Stop Wine and Cigar.
Okay.
Very nice place, Michelle.
Yeah, I'll have to go there next time I'm in that area. Andrew Lindsay.
Yes, this is Andrew Lindsay. I'm with AK. I own the AKS Gifts and Promotion, AKS Gifts and Promotionals. I've been working with the city of Greensboro for the last 8 years through the MWBE program. I talked with Gary several times and I received the invitation to participate, and I really appreciate this opportunity to listen to the conversation that we've had on Black businesses in the community. And I agree that we are not getting the amount of funds to Black businesses that we deserve. There are a lot of businesses that say we want minorities, but those minorities are not Black businesses. And I'm aware of just looking at the hub situation and everything, that when they say minority, 50% of it goes to white women. And that's just a fact. And the rest of it is split between everybody else. So I think the state has to do, and the country has to do a better job of allocate money directly to Black businesses so that we can succeed, because there's no way for us to grow if we are not receiving the funds from all the projects that are available out there. So I want to thank you for Strong to inviting me to this session, and I'm looking forward to continue to help in any way I can. But I'm Andrew Lindsay with AKS Gifts and Promotions, and we're located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Great. Thank
Good
you so much,
afternoon.
Mr. Lindsay.
All right.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Oh.
My name
okay, go ahead.
my name is Hurley Derrickson. I'm with the Greensboro Business League with McCants and Earl Jones and the group. And of course, we help monitor the activity that the city, county, and the school system, the activity that they have in giving out contracts, and we help monitor that and make sure that African Americans get their fair share. And I'm also with the NAACP. I've been a Black-owned business person for the last 37, 40 years. I'm old, but not that old. But anyway, just want to say you did an excellent job tonight getting everybody together. I think the more you do these, it's just like anything else. Like the Greensboro Business League, we grew from a handful of people to about 300 and 350 contractors, and we're still growing. And so I think it's just a matter of everybody pulling together and make sure that the disparity studies are followed closely by the county, just like the disparity study that the city of Greensboro has to be followed. And the disparity study is no greater than the people that operate the contracting. And so it has to be fair and equitable. So I just want to say thank you for doing this and pulling people together. And I look forward to the next time. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Rachel Latimer?
Good evening. It's Rochelle Latimer. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I'm with TRS and I Group. We're a full service diversity and inclusion firm, and I was invited to participate by Mr. McCants tonight. So thank you, Mr. McCants, for inviting me to participate. Excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes,
Rochelle.
thank you. Okay. Got another 5 minutes. That 5-minute countdown. Anybody who hasn't said anything so far, we really, really want to hear from you. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell your neighbors who you are. Your kinsmen and kinswoman, business owners and kinspersons, business owners, who you are, so they'll know who you are.
All right, the activist is gonna come up. Somebody's gotta have something to say hello.
Yeah, we want to hear, again, if you've had an experience doing business with the county, you attempted to do business with the county, you want it successful, or you haven't even tried to do business with the county. Want to know, hear from you about why you didn't. Why haven't you tried to do business with the county?
This is Andrew Lindsay again.
Okay.
I have not done business with the county, but I have done lots of business with the city of Greensboro. And I look forward to trying to work with the county. We do promotional products of all kinds. And Gary is familiar with our business and our website. Also, the members of the MWBE program in Greensboro, they're familiar with our business and they use us a lot.
So how come you haven't done business with the county?
I have not been able to make contact with the right individuals in the county yet. And COVID was part of it. And so I'm sort of discount that, but I just have not been able to get to the right personnel in the county to do business with them.
Mr. Boyd, I see you were going to say something.
Yes, I was. I was just wanted to say that I was invited to the meeting, this call, Ms. Cynthia Barnes with Guilford County. I have done business with Guilford County and currently doing business with Guilford County. And just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak and thank you for your time and your presence. And know this will come out to be something will be beneficial to all of us and all other businesses like ours, Black-owned businesses that are trying to do business with the county. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle, before I leave, I want to say thank you for putting on this conversation, and so that we can begin looking at the disparity between our group, Blacks, and the majority party, white businesses, and to make sure that we can get the type of funds that we deserve to have. By the way, and I'm also a member of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm the treasurer. I've been there for about the last 8 years. And we've been trying to, not trying, but we've been putting together different workshops and getting Black businesses here in Winston and in Greensboro. We've got members all the way to New York and Philadelphia. Black businesses are trying to come together to promote themselves and also find out how to help our Black businesses grow. So I just want to put a plug in for the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, which I'm at a meeting with them right now. That's why I haven't been able to get on this so early.
Okay.
But
all right,
thank
great.
you so much for the hard work that you're doing. And Gary, we will talk later.
Thank you. Thank Calvin as well. Appreciate
So
I will let Calvin know.
So as we wind the meeting to an end, I want to thank Cynthia
Can I
Barnes.
say one more thing in closing, because I may not come to another meeting, but I do want to tell everybody on the call to, it's important that we organize and stick together as Black business people and make demands based on these studies. You can Google disparity studies for North Carolina, and you will find that you got 0.5% of the business. That's disgusting. Reparations now. Reparations also includes, in addition to direct cash payments, includes getting our fair share. As emancipated freedmen in North Carolina, we were owed equal protection, equal access to all things, including and especially the tax dollars that we put into this state, this county, and we're not getting that return. I want to throw out into the universe a reestablishment of the Office of Freedmen Affairs, whereby 10% of the budget is sliced off, put into the Office of Freedmen Affairs, and we allocate. And anybody that does business in the county will fulfill their diversity quota directly through bonded, insured people that are already vetted. So all of this, I think, is bogus. This is perpetual disparity year after year. I encourage you to go. I encourage us to organize together and to make demands, specific demands, and to consider, do your history on the Office of Freedmen Affairs. We need to reestablish that, and at the Federal Bureau, and reparations now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to thank Cynthia Barnes from Guilford County. Cynthia, do you have anything you want to say before I close out?
Thank you, Michelle. Hold on 1 second, I'm getting feedback. Is that better?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Okay. Just to thank you for hosting this event, and for those who have participated and provided the valuable comments and feedback. I will ask that the online business survey is still open until this coming Friday. Many of you that received the notifications, there is a separate link that will take you to the online business survey. If you have not participated in that, we would love to get your feedback on that as well. It closes at 5 p.m. on this coming Friday. If you do not have that link, please just reach out to our office and we'll be happy to provide you with the link for completing the survey.
You're on mute, Michelle. Michelle, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Quan Williams, did you want to have a last thing to say? Hand was up.
Quan, unmute yourself. Quan, maybe he hit it by mistake.
Okay, maybe by mistake. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining tonight. We will be sending you to your email. We'll send everyone the link for the survey. Again, you can also contact Cynthia Barnes' office, but after this meeting, those of you who attended will also get a direct link to the survey. Again, we do ask you to please fill it out. That's, again, another way to quantify the responses that we get from the community. So thank you very much. Have a great and wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Michelle.